Talk radio that talks with you, not at you. Casey Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. This program triggered by Rocket Guns and Shoot to Thrill Range, located 7 blocks east of the courthouse on Lincoln in Goshen, Indiana. Rocket Guns and Shoot to Thrill are your Second Amendment headquarters. Phone number to join us, 574-2595-95.3. That is 2595-953. I'm just going to start with it, okay? I have been increasingly frustrated with the way that this primary election is being handled. And the main reason is, one, I know what I'm doing. It's politics. And two, there's an awful lot of people on the right now that are digging themselves one whale of a hole. And it's going to be near impossible for many of them to walk that back. And here's why that bothers me quite a bit. We saw people choose to not support candidates in 2008 because their guy didn't win the nomination. And they thought the other person who did too moderate. And this is the line that they said. Everybody always forgets this. This is what they actually said, and this is what I am hearing again now. Maybe we need the Democrats to run everything. Maybe we need somebody like Obama. This is after the William Ayers and the Reverend Wright stuff and everything else. Like, maybe we need that to happen, because what will happen is a crack will form in the earth. Fire and brimstone will pour out of this crack, and from that crack will rise a beautiful phoenix to save all of us. So they said, we're going to give them 4 years. That's what they said. That is verbatim what I heard dozens of times on my program, what I read dozens of times, including National Review and all these other people that are out there. So they gave him 4 years. That's the first term of Obama. They gave him a Congress with a veto-proof majority. And the change started. So he had 4 years of it. And at this point, people like me are going, see, I told you it was going to be bad that 4 years. And I'm telling you right now, if you don't act, it's going to be worse the next 4. So what ended up happening? I'm so disillusioned. Republicans are traitors. I'm not even going to show up. To heck with it. Forget it. Mitt Romney's a liberal. Mitt Romney's this. Mitt Romney's that. Blah, 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 blah. As if Mitt Romney wasn't worlds better than Obama and proven right about nearly every prediction he made during his campaign. That's hindsight, but still. And they said the same thing that second election. They said, you know what? We're going to give him another 4 years, and Obama's going to screw this country up so bad. Do you realize what they were advocating? And I used to have this discussion with people who would call the program, and I actually had debates with people who would call and say this very thing. People who were high-ranking members of the Republican Party. And I said, you realize what you're saying? You're saying you want your fellow Americans and your country to suffer and hurt and be harmed and be damaged to prove a point. And again, they always came back with, well, you know what? After Carter, there was Reagan, and then a crack is going to form in the earth, and fire and brimstone is going to spew out from the crack, and a rising phoenix is going to come out and save us all. It was the same line they had used 4 years earlier. And I kept hearing it over and over and over again. I kept hearing this Phoenix Rising garbage. And then you started seeing PACs take on the moniker of this Phoenix Rising. America Rising, so-and-so rising, Tea Party rising, conservatism rising, red meat rising, all of these other innuendos, if you will. There's going to be a phoenix. We just have to make things so bad. We've got to screw things up for our children and our families so bad That's what we have to intentionally inflict upon our fellow Americans and ourselves in order for something positive to happen. As if this were the book of Job. So then, we get another term. And what are we saying right now? We're saying the same things we said after the first term, right? This is the worst it's ever been. We've never seen anything this bad. And the one thing that you got out of the first 4 years you're getting now is, wow, that was fast and that was way worse than I thought it was going to be. Hey, you were warned the first time and then you were warned the second time. And I'm talking to everybody out there who is on the right, whether you're considering yourself a Republican, a conservative, a Tea Partier, or if you're just a libertarian who's leaning Republican this year, what have you. Everybody on the right, that's who I'm talking to today. Because y'all are messing up. And you're digging your own graves, but you're not just digging your own graves. You're digging the graves of your neighbors. You're digging the graves of your children, your grandchildren in this country. And you'd best stop it. Because you're all over the place acting like petulant children with a bunch of nonsense in this campaign right now. I shouldn't have to come on here and defend candidates that are not even my candidate. But that's what I have to do. You know why? Because I'm a conservative, and that's what conservatism is about. Truth. Not hyperbole, not falsehoods, not fallacy, truth. And right now, a bunch of you don't have it. People on this station don't have it. So as I walk around the country right now, listening to all of you going, this is way worse than we thought it was going to be. Well, guess what? You shouldn't have stayed home last time. I'm so sorry that you wanted to inflict damage upon the country so Phoenix could rise out of the fire and brimstone and save everybody. That was on you. That's not on me. That's not on the other people who chose to participate last time around. That's on you. Now, we have said this repeatedly over the past several weeks. The next president of the United States gets 2, maybe 3 Supreme Court appointees. Now, so goes the Supreme Court, so goes the country. That's a reality. That's a fact. We are no longer at the point where America is in decline. We are at the precipice. There is no further options here. The next president of the United States will change this country for at least the next decade, if not more. And your rhetoric right now, again, unintelligent, hypocritical, petulant. That's what it is. I love elections. Love them. I love campaign ads. I love attack ads. I love strategy. I appreciate all of it. I appreciate that there's going to be some friction, and I appreciate there's going to be disagreement and arguments and all of that other stuff. I appreciate that. That is not what I am seeing. I am not seeing any of that right now. I am seeing gravediggers. When I look out, and I'm watching this all weekend. All weekend I'm watching this garbage. Yeah, National Review and their stupid little issue. And it's a stupid little issue. And everybody involved with their stupid little issue is being stupid and petulant. And that includes people that I respect and I'm friends with. They're being dumb. I'm dumbing everything down for everybody here. I'm dare I say, going Trump-esque. Making sure that everybody understands with clarity what I'm saying. They are being stupid. Endorsements are fine. I don't like this guy because of this, or I don't like that gal because of that. I like this person because of this, and the other people I can't get behind because of that. That's great. I'm sorry, calling Donald Trump Hitler? Calling him evil? Saying he's just as bad as Hillary? How do you walk back on that if he wins the nomination? Or do you plan not to? Do you plan to give up at that point? Do you plan to concede the country to Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders? Because that's exactly what you're doing. You want to support another candidate? Fine. Demonizing, destroying, lying about somebody is going to accomplish you jack squat. You are behaving like the protesters on university campuses every time Ann Coulter wants to give a speech there. That's how you look. That's how you're acting right now. Petulant, spoiled children. And many of you I'm talking to directly right now are among people that I count as my friends. But you're being ridiculous. Flat out ridiculous. Donald Trump did not go out there and use the context of shooting somebody in the street that you are all portraying him as using. It didn't happen. But that's what you're saying he did. He was using an illustrative point on something the media had said about the loyalty of his supporters. And you're out there saying that he would go out there and I saw somebody call him non-Christian the other day. He's unchristian because he said that statement. Really? Because he used an illustration to drive home a point that the press was making about the loyalty of his supporters, which are, by the way, the highest of any candidate in this campaign. But you're going to go out there and just say, oh, yeah, he's pro-shooting people in the face randomly, and he doesn't think that, oh, he's a dictator now? Now, we spent time on Friday, for those of you who joined us. It's the second time I've had to do this. We spent time on Friday going over Donald Trump's history going back to the 80s. And everybody's out there, oh, this is brand new. He's never had these opinions before, and it's a load of malarkey. This guy has had the vast majority of the opinions that he has been espousing in his campaign right now, he has had since the 80s, and it's documented. Gave you quotes from it. Long-standing positions that he has been talking about for decades and decades and decades. He's had two positions that have changed. One being on the abortion thing. He was always anti-partial abortion. But he's changed his opinion on abortion. And you know what? You know what he said? After I saw one, changed my mind. Now, there's a whole lot of you pro-lifers out there that keep saying we need to show women what it actually looks like to have an abortion, and it would change their mind. Does that not apply to Donald Trump or anybody else? Does it only apply to pregnant women? Donald Trump, who has always been against gun control, was in favor of the assault weapons ban. He no longer is. The guy has given several interviews to gun publications explaining the shift in that position. One of those being that they aren't even calling actual assault weapons anymore. They've changed everything around. You can't trust people like that, he said. Read his interview in Ammo Land. Oh, Donald Trump only speaks in platitudes. No, he doesn't. You're lazy and you haven't paid attention to what he's saying and you haven't gone to his website and you haven't looked at what he's been proposing. You're lazy. Quit lying. You're lazy. Donald Trump hasn't told us what he's going to do. You're lying and you're lazy. He has. He was the first person I had detailed plans on in this campaign. I kept highlighting that from the very beginning. The only other people that had anything out there were Rand Paul and Ted Cruz because we already knew what they wanted to propose because of legislation they had proposed. As far as the other politicians that are out there, Donald Trump's the first one that actually put policy positions together. It's the first one. Okay, so I don't know what he stands for. Hey, go to his website. It's right there. And I went over several of his issues last Friday, going back to 1986. And he's saying the same things then with the same verbiage that he is saying now. Hitler? Donald Trump is Hitler. Somebody who says Donald Trump is Hitler and evil and a dictator is not going to be able to support that guy if he wins the nomination. Which means they're saying it's okay if Hillary wins and it's okay if Bernie Sanders wins. And if you are in that position right now, if you are on the right and you believe that it is okay for Hillary or Bernie Sanders to win this next election because at least it's not Donald Trump, you're un-American, you're anti-American, and you have no business retaining citizenship in this country, period, end of story. You have signed the death nail to this country. You don't give a damn about the Constitution of the United States. You don't give a damn about conservatism or its values. You do not give a damn. If you believe Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton is better than Donald Trump, grow up. I'll play you the audio of what Donald Trump had to say about shooting people in the street, and I'll let you respond if you think it's really as bad as everybody has been saying. Next on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Bled for Days. Perfect bumper music for this. As the text messages stream in about this, I'll tell you what, somebody's saying, oh, no, yeah, get real. Donald Trump is attacking Ted Cruz, birther issues. Hey, we were one of the first ones on that. Donald Trump is factually incorrect and factually wrong on that. I spent 2 shows breaking all of that down for people. One where, Tim, we took calls on people, bringing up various points. But this is an election. I can appreciate somebody casting doubt in an election. Keep in mind, too, Donald Trump initially did not attack Ted Cruz on his citizenship. He initially said, other people have concerns about it. My people say it's okay. That's how it started, and the media frenzy began. Now, eventually, he turned his rhetoric, and he went that way. If you're out there disagreeing with Donald Trump because of eminent domain issues or, okay, I don't trust the guy when he says he won't appoint his sister to the Supreme Court, and that's a huge issue for me. If you're out there saying, you know what, this land issue where Donald Trump the other day said states shouldn't get land back from the federal government. He's factually incorrect about that. But if you say, I can't support the guy because I don't trust him on those issues, there's nothing wrong with that. My problem is going forth and saying he's Hitler. Now, you got to understand, I'm not talking about dweebuses on Twitter saying this. I'm talking about prominent people in conservative media saying this. He's Hitler. He's a dictator. I prefer Bernie. Things like that. You can't walk back from that, which means if Donald Trump wins the nomination, if he does, how do you then say I'm supporting Hitler over Hillary? Or I'm supporting Hitler over Bernie Sanders? How can you walk that back? You can't. It's impossible. So either you're disingenuous and you're dishonest and you have no integrity and you will vote for Hitler, or you'll throw the country away by either staying home or supporting Hillary or Bernie. There's no other option. It just isn't there. Staying home is supporting them. You also have to understand something else. It is still very likely that there is a Trump Cruz ticket in the future, whether you like it or not. As bad as they're going at each other right now, as far as politics are concerned, they are the perfect duo because they bring different people to the table. Just as Palin, diametrically different than John McCain. It's designed that way. Just like Reagan chose Bush. Bush had been attacking Reagan for years. It's going to be hard to walk this back. And I'm telling you right now, the rhetoric is getting out of hand. And it's going to get to a point where you will not be able to say, all right, I'll hold my nose and vote for Hitler. You can't say you'll hold your nose and vote for Hitler. It doesn't work. It's impossible. You can't do that. So this is what Donald Trump actually said about shooting people since everybody ran out there. It's like, Donald Trump is advocating violence, and he's saying that his supporters are so stupid they still support him. It's not what he said, so here it is.
The people, my people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. No, they say, Trump, we love you too, man. Trump's voters are by far, I'm at 68, 69%. I'm at 90% total. Like, will you say absolutely? I think it's 68 or 69%. Will you most likely stay? That gets into the 90s. Other guys are like at 10. A guy like Jeb Bush, he has a nobody, but he's like they don't have people. They have nothing. Rubio, soft. They're all soft. All soft. My people stay. By the way, Cruz, soft. When they heard about this thing that he was born in Canada that nobody knew about, he lost a lot of people. He's gone down big in the polls. Ted Cruz has gone down big in the polls. That doesn't mean he's not giving us a fight in Iowa. That doesn't mean you can stay home. Okay? See you with a smile. It doesn't mean that. You got to go out because we can't take any chances.
I'm sorry, if anybody twists that into him being braggadocious, that he can get his followers to do whatever he wants. He could even shoot people in the face. You're just almost subhuman at that point. Because that's not what that man said at all. And I played that entire bit, even the part with him attacking Cruz's citizenship again. I left that all in there so nobody doubts the context. That's the full 1 minute and 10 seconds of that exchange in his speech, which has been twisted into something it isn't. Now, you may not like the comment, and that's fine. But he was commenting on how they say that he has the most loyal followers of this race. And right now, that is what the polls show. And no, Ted Cruz is not dropping in all of the polls. He's not. But that's campaigning stuff. But they've made it out there like, oh, he's an egomaniac now. And he's a dictator, and he can have his puppets follow him wherever, and they'll just be led to stray and lemmings off of a cliff and what have you, and he could shoot people in the face, and he's bragging about all. He's not bragging about it. He was making an illustrative point about what the press is saying about him in the polls. There's a big difference with context. But when you read a headline, Trump says he could shoot people in the face and not lose supporters. That's not context. How many of you who've been running around talking about this issue over the weekend have actually heard that full piece of audio? I wonder why. Because you can Google it. About 10 seconds. I'll take your reaction to the audio and whether or not it's as bad as people are saying. Coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Michiana's News Channel. Casey Hendrickson.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. It's a new year. And a lot of you are trying to get a new you, and that can be difficult, especially if you're just getting back to the gym for the first time in a long time. It can be rough. You know, you don't feel confident. You can't lift as much as you used to, so you kind of feel, a little timid about lifting the weights. You get on the cardio machine, whatever you're doing. You can't go very long without wheezing and that sort of thing. Look, the important thing is that you're there. The important thing is that you're trying. You will get better as long as you put in the effort. But you can use a little help, can't you? Go to Nutrition HQ. Talk to them. If you're looking to lose weight, build muscle, guys over the age of 30, Recharge is just for you. You know, I got a question last week. Somebody said, hey, you know what? I don't need the full thing on Recharge. You know, is there, any way that I can just get, one thing, like maybe just a testosterone boost and maybe just the energy or something like that? I'm not fat. I'm not overweight. I don't need to lose any of that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. There's you don't have to get the entire stack, folks. You got to get what's best for you. Now, a lot of people, it's going to be the entire stack. For some people, it might just be the energy supplement. For some people, it might just be the testosterone replenisher. It's really something that's individual. So you can get the full stack, or you can get one or two of the products, or maybe it's something else entirely, and it's not Recharge for Men. Ladies, Lady Lean program for women is the most popular over there, but that is by no means the only thing that they have that works. It's just the most popular. You got to talk to the consultants at Nutrition HQ and have them steer you to the products that are going to be best for you, your goals, and your personal situation. Again, Tim's lost over 65 pounds using entirely different products from Nutrition HQ, as I have, losing my over 40. Again, Nutrition HQ, located in Indian Ridge Plaza. They're on Indian Ridge between Grape and Main and Mishawaka, directly across the street from McDonald's and right next to the UPS store. Make sure you tell them I sent you. 574-25-95-95-3. No doubt many of you are running around this weekend talking about Donald Trump's shoot people in the face comment. You probably hadn't heard the audio until just a couple of minutes ago when I played it. And again, seems like it was taken a bit out of context, at least in my opinion. But if you disagree, feel free to give us a call, 574-25-95-95-3. Scott, welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, brilliant piece, Casey. The thing is we go back to 2012. Obama got a lot less votes than he did in 2008 because people on the right just didn't show up in 2012 because they were all the reasons you listed. But most important, that because Romney wasn't their guy. He wasn't right enough. He wasn't this enough. He wasn't that enough. But the thing is, when you didn't show up in 2012, you automatically voted for Obama. It was automatic.
You know, what's funny is, Scott, the same people that are saying that, there's no way they could ever support Trump. There's no way. And those people in right-leaning media right now, those are the same people right now that are trying to peddle the lie that less people voted in 2012. They're trying to say, no, that's not true. People didn't stay home in 2012. That's a lie. And it is factually true that less people voted in 2012 for the Republican ticket than in previous years. They stayed home. We know that. The numbers are concrete and undeniable, but the same people that are saying, I cannot support Trump if he wins the nomination, I will stay home right now, are the same people saying, no, that line of thinking is not what cost us 2012.
The thing is whether Trump's your guy or not, the worst person on the Republican side is still infinitely better than Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton.
Miles better. And Trump is better than half of the field.
And the thing is I can remember back in the 80s in history class, they said, because all the checks and balances, and it was saying that, there's certain things that the president can do and can't do. But I will never, ever forget what they said. They said probably, and this was this history teacher's opinion, and they said probably the most important thing that the president can do is they are the ones that nominate the Supreme Court justices, them and them alone. And when a justice is on there, they're on there for life. And it's just like you go through all of our freedoms, and it is subject to a person's opinion. It's subject to the opinion of the Supreme Court. And there's been so many things the last 4 years, the last 8 years, where the vote has been 5-4.
Yep.
And if you go through and you take out a couple of those fives and you replace them with hardline lefters, guess what? Now it's 6-3.
Well, you don't have right now. There's two swing votes on the Supreme Court. They go back and forth, and they lean a little bit more constitutional than not on most issues. And so you're right. I mean, you start looking at these 5-4 decisions. I don't know how many people saw Bernie Sanders tweet last week, but Bernie Sanders is like, well, when I nominate somebody to the Supreme Court, the first ruling they're going to rule on is campaign finance. What? That's not how it works, Bernie. But that's what they're saying. And do you want a guy like that nominating the next Supreme Court justice, or 2 or 3, or Hillary?
And it will be. This is the thing. It will be. This is we can let's just say worst case scenario. We have to flip a coin on Trump, but we don't have to flip a coin on Hillary and Bernie. We know exactly what it's going to be and exactly where we're going to go.
Trump's not a conservative. He's not running as a conservative. His political topology graph, by the way, rates him as more on the conservative side, but a little up towards libertarian. But he's not hard conservative, and he's not moderate. He's right. And that goes back to his positions from the 1980s. And they took it all, and they on the issues website. Takes it all. They calculate his topology score. He's on the right. Now, is he Ted Cruz right? No, he's not. But he's not running that way either. And if people have got to stop with this all or nothing bit. I told people for many, many years Ronald Reagan would not be elected with the political climate that's happening right now. Now, I know some people disagree with that because they think that his positive rhetoric would win people over. I don't think so. Not with social media, honestly. I think they would be attacking him as a pro-abortion, gun rights advocate, big government guy that he used to be, in spite of the fact that he had over a decade and a half of history of going around and speaking about conservatism. I really believe that would come up because we know that there are people on the right that will not let things go that are 1, 2, 3 decades old.
All right.
Scott, I appreciate your patience in waiting through those breaks, man. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.
Take care. I'll tell you, Ann Coulter fought me on that for years, and she finally came around to my line of thinking about a year or two ago. She's like, I think you're right. I don't think he would be elected nowadays. I really don't. I'm not calling Donald Trump Ronald Reagan. Their treatment, their scrutiny, their path is very, very similar. But he's not Ronald Reagan. He's not running as a conservative. But Donald Trump's a Republican. He is absolutely a Republican. And I know the establishment has gotten behind the guy now because Cruz is a bigger threat to the establishment than Trump is. But that's new. Everybody's like, oh, Trump's establishment. No, he's not. He just became establishment because they're more afraid of Cruz than they are of him. The establishment has been trying to destroy Ted Cruz and Donald Trump from the very beginning. Everybody knows it. Stop lying. Is Trump more likely to negotiate with the establishment and make deals? Sure. He said as much. Absolutely. Now, you have to decide if it's Cruz or Trump or Rubio or these. By the way, Rubio's just sitting pretty right now. Rubio's just like, hey, man, I'm going to let everybody else just beat up on each other. And because remember, this is a 3-man race. There's only 3 people in this. And Rubio's just sitting back, quietly getting endorsements. Have you noticed that? Rubio's been getting endorsements. Been raising money. Nobody's yelling at him. Nobody's attacking him. Just kind of doing his thing. You know, what's funny is that people who don't like Trump because of everything else will vote for Rubio even though their big issue is immigration. Riddle me that. I have no idea where that even comes from. Listen, I'm not telling you to support Trump, folks. He's not my number one guy either. But you have to understand something. And somebody thought I was speaking about Glenn Beck with the Hitler reference. You got to understand the Hitler stuff in right-wing media, comparing Trump to Hitler, goes back to August of 2015. And it has not let up. That has been a regular thing on their websites and in their social media accounts and in their punditry since August of 2015. That people on the right-wing media have been attacking Trump as Hitler. So it's not just one little speech that Glenn Beck was giving. But, you know, Glenn Beck, man of faith, dude needs to rethink his Christianity with his attacks on Trump's wife is all I'm saying. That is not what you call the most Christian behavior. Went a little bit long. I'll be back. Dawn, don't go anywhere. Other callers, hang on. We'll get to you. 574-2595, 95.3. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson, News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
No, I'm not going to take it back. Casey Hendrickson here on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. People are texting me right now. You better take that back. Look, I took a swipe at Beck. I like Beck a lot. By the way, I'm going to be posting things on Facebook today because, you know, hey, Beck has been, he's obviously very anti-Trump. And Beck will never be able to walk back his criticism of Trump. He is one of many that I am referring to here. But no, you can't run a more faith-based like program the way that Beck has been doing over the late and then attack a man's wife as a porn star and ridicule her. And you can't. Those two are not compatible. You can't do that. It's been unfair criticism. I've said that before on this program. And it should not be something that is encouraged. But, Beck is the boss at his company, and he doesn't have anybody whispering in his ear, like, hey, it's time to back off just a little bit on the personal attacks on the man's wife. Maybe that's a no-go. I get it comes with the territory. It's just that I personally think the attacks are unfair.